All right. Welcome to the championship round predictions for the NFL season. I'm your host, Lewis. Next to me is my beautiful co-host, Laraib, as we are down to the final four. However upsetting, though, it is not between the Saints and the Seahawks, to much of our chagrin, as both teams have been eliminated already. But now we get to sit back with no worries and just watch football. And as much as I'd like to see the Saints in there, it's always nice to not have those butterflies in your stomach and just be able to watch a game for the love of the sport. But besides that, we're going to talk about all these matchups, get super in depth, and we are going to tell you who we think is going to go to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks from this Sunday. I'm so excited, Laraib. How do you feel going into this weekend?
Honestly, feel great, just like you. Throughout a whole season as a sports fan, specifically of a team, you're really rooting for your team all season long. And then you got fantasy football on top of that. But now, once you get to this point, and you're no longer rooting for your team, you're just rooting to watch some good football on a Sunday. This is what it's all about. And these final four teams fighting to make it to the Lombardi Trophy in 2 weeks, just like you're saying. But let's start off with the first game of Championship Sunday. We have the Buccaneers going up against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are -3, and the conditions for this game is going to be 28 degrees and snowing. But this is not the first time that these two teams have met this season. That same for the Bills and Chiefs, but specifically for this game, the Buccaneers handed the Packers a embarrassing loss earlier on the season, 38-10. And how that really happened was from the Buccaneers defense going up against the Packers offense. I think that's going to be the key for the game once again for them this game. We know Todd Bowles, he's really blitz heavy, and he can really get in your quarterback's face. And we saw what he did to Drew Brees last week and really, put him off the mark and really cause some of those bad interceptions, which sent them to the championship round. And I think they're going to have to do some more of the same. When the teams first played, it was Aaron Rodgers was playing outstanding early in the season. They did have all the players in Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams, but still their offense wasn't really able to put anything together. And Carlton Davis, a lot of people hated on him early on in the season when he got torched by Tyreek Hill for 200 yards in the first quarter. But, you look at some of the guys he's matched up against all season long, he's been very outstanding. And, that linebacking core with Devin White, Levante David, they can really send the heat. And that's what I expect them to do this championship weekend.
This is not the same Green Bay Packers team that faced off against the Buccaneers in Week 6. And I'll tell you why. The way that game started, if you remember, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers went up 10-0 on Tampa at Tampa and 2 3-and-outs for Tom Brady. But then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers started making uncharacteristic mistakes. He missed, really badly on 2 throws that got the ball back in Packers territory for the Bucs offense to score 2 easy touchdowns, similar to how the game went last week against the New Orleans Saints. But I think this game in Green Bay, where the Packers have all the advantage in the world, playing in the cold, and we just saw the Packers absolutely dismantle what many people believe was the best defense in all of football last week as they trounced the Rams. And like you said, Todd Bowles, he's very blitz heavy. He likes to bring the pressure, and it did affect Drew Brees last week. But Aaron Rodgers is just playing at a completely different level than really any other quarterback in the league right now. So you can sit as many people as you want, but you have to make sure that Devontae Adams lined up against Carlton Davis is going to be a huge matchup because Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting did very well against Michael Thomas. But, Emmanuel Sanders was able to get out on a few routes, and that Saints passing offense wasn't very great. But I'll bring you back to a matchup in Week 11 between the Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs, in which Carlton Davis was matched up against Tyreek Hill, and he got absolutely torched. Now, obviously, Devontae Adams has a completely different skill set than one of Tyreek Hill, but they are going to absolutely abuse that matchup against, a more physical, slower corner, in which Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers just have that connection down pat, and they're going to utilize that mismatch so much against this Buccaneers defense that, quite frankly, hasn't really been doing, it's very aggressive defense, as we saw, last week. We saw a bunch of really good drives from the Saints all the way down the field, but then there were a lot of those drives that, a pick, a fumble really gave, they were opportunistic defense. When they're playing in a game like that, when they can capitalize off turnovers, that's when this defense is playing its best. And if Devin White can play the way he played last week against the New Orleans Saints, this defense is going to be hard to score on. But I think this defense is nowhere near the Rams defense of last week. And I just do not think they're going to get enough pressure on Aaron Rodgers to stop him from completing the ball down the field and putting a lot of pressure on the back end of this Tampa defense.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. We saw what the Rams did to the Seahawks offensive line, in the backfield. As soon as the ball is, as soon as they get the ball out. But for the Aaron Rodgers offensive line, the Green Bay Packers offensive line, you saw how long he had in the pocket to move around and wait for some of those deep balls to open up. And if they can recreate even some of that success that they had against the Rams, against the Buccaneers, then they're going to have a great day out there. But I'm expecting this Buccaneers defense to really step up and, get the job done. And then you're forgetting about, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. I know you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, most likely going to win MVP this season. But, in the game against the Packers, you really don't have to do too much. Only 166 and 2 touchdowns. It was really Ronald Jones on the ground with 100 yards. And that's where this Packers defense can get exposed with their rushing attack. So if they can get the play action going, Tom Brady, we know how dangerous he can be. And with all these receivers that he has, I think he's going to have a great day.
Ronald Jones was really beaten up in that game against the Saints after he broke off a long run that was called back because of a holding penalty. He was kind of favoring that quad. He is going to play in this game, and he showed a lot of toughness, but I don't think he's 100% going into this matchup. And you do bring up a good point. This Packers run defense is very susceptible to big plays, chunk plays, and they're just not that great of a tackling defense. But we'll see how potent this Tampa, running game is going to be in this, cold weather that they're going to be facing in Green Bay. But another matchup I want to talk about is this Packers running game, which we saw really get unlocked against the Rams last week, who have a really good run defense. Now, Tampa does have the best run defense in the entire NFL, but we've seen the past few weeks this Tampa run defense, they kind of get exposed here and there. We saw Alvin Kamara really, run for about 5 yards a carry in that game last week. It seems like there were some plays where he just couldn't be stopped, going on the right side of the line and causing damage. But we saw last week against the Rams, A.J. Dillon was going to work. Of course, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, they just have that crowded backfield who, if they play the way they played against the Rams last week, it's just going to be impossible to stop this offense because it just sets up that play action pass. And Aaron Rodgers is going to have at least one or two of those deep shot bombs every week to Alan Lazard or Valdez-Scantling. That's just going to set this offense either going to flip field possession or put 6 points up for this Green Bay offense. And now Tampa would like to do that, but the problem I have with Bruce Arians, and I think he might have this problem again in this game, is he's going to force way too much deep in a climate. Yeah, of course, Tom Brady's played in, bad temperatures his entire career in New England, but playing in Florida all year, his arm hasn't looked amazing at times. So he might miss a lot of these deep ball shots to Scotty Millers, Mike Evans, and Antonio Browns of the world. So the key for Bruce Arians, which he did a lot last week, is stay patient on offense. Take the gimme plays. Take the check downs to Leonard Fournette. Take the 10-yard comeback from Chris Godwin. Do the wide receiver screen to Chris Godwin. We saw how versatile this offense could be and just moving the chains. Just be patient, put field goals up, and have trust and faith in your defense to get the ball back to you. And if they can do that, and that's how Tom Brady wants to play. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It doesn't put too much pressure on him. He gets the ball out quick. And once he gets into a rhythm, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. But he needs to get in that rhythm first, or it can snowball the other way and into Green Bay's favor. So that's the big matchup I like to see. How is Bruce Arians going to attack this defense? Obviously, they're going to want to set up the running game. But if they get down in this game and they can't run the ball anymore, how much can you rely on Tom Brady to bring you out of that hole?
Well, first of all, you're exactly right about this Buccaneers offense. You really have to go dink and dunk, short slant routes. The Rams are really trying to do that, but they're missing out in Cooper Kupp and, their most effective, slant guy, short guy. And he was out for that game, and that really affected them. But for the Buccaneers last week, it really wasn't their offense that was able to, really, pull them away. There was a defense who was able to get takeaways, just like you're saying earlier on. And for this game, you don't want to keep on punting Aaron Rodgers the ball because eventually he's going to figure out your defense. And just like you're saying, it's going to be the Buccaneers short passing attack. And for Bruce Arians, You're really gonna have to get that defense to come out to play and, just limit. You really don't want any turnovers in a game like this in a championship weekend. And you really want to rely on your veteran 6-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady quarterback to get this done for you.
Right. And one player I want to talk about for the Packers offense who could really make an impact in this game, Alan Lazard, who didn't play in their first matchup because he had a core injury, is going to be fully healthy. We saw him have a big touchdown last week against the Rams. And if he can be firing all cylinders with this offense, and we see with the Rams or the Buccaneers, that second slot receiver or that shifty guy in the middle can really cause them problems. You mentioned Cooper Kupp had a really big game against the Buccaneers early on the season. Emmanuel Sanders had a big game against them. The second receiver on the Giants, Golden Tate, had a really good game against the against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If Alan Lazard can get that rhythm, if Devontae Adams is getting bracketed and shut down on one side of the field, then he's going to make a huge difference for this Green Bay offense. I just think there's way too much firepower with this Green Bay offense and this team. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing on an insanely high level. And if he can prevent turning the ball over in this game, I just do not see how this Tampa Bay offense can match points for points against the Green Bay Packers at Green Bay. So my pick, Laraib, I'm picking the Green Bay Packers to advance the Super Bowl by a score of 33 to Tampa 26.
Well, I'm going with the tried and trusted Tom Brady in this one. He's played in the cold, but his team really hasn't. But if he can get the short routes going for this Tampa Bay offense, I know they have enough firepower to keep up with Aaron Rodgers and, go out and win this game. I would be picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go a little bit lower scoring than you just because of the weather conditions. Give me Tampa Bay 28-24.
All right. That is bold. So we both disagree on that one. Let's see how we fare with the next matchup in Sunday night. We have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. This was the matchup we were all waiting for. The two best offenses in the NFL, in my opinion, outside of Green Bay all season. We know what these quarterbacks are. We know what we're getting. So Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. And the thing I want to look at first off in this game, in Kansas City, it's going to be about 46 degrees, not going to snow. Pretty good, as Kansas City fans would probably call football weather for this game. So the thing I want to look for in this matchup is this Chiefs running game, because we saw how effective the Colts running game was against the Bills. Now, the Ravens running game was not very effective, but the Chiefs need to get this running game going to make their offense more versatile and more multiple against the Buffalo Bills, because in their first matchup, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the standout player in that game as he rushed for over 100 yards and really set the tone in that low-scoring, snowy game in Buffalo earlier in the season. We were talking about what would make the difference, and this Buffalo rush defense, it hasn't gotten much better since then, but it kind of shut down a predictable Ravens offense in which both teams weren't able to score many points. But another thing about Kansas City I was very impressed with last week against the Browns was how that defense performed in big moments when they needed to stand up. After Patrick Mahomes went down with that concussion and Chad Henne had to enter the game, Chad Henne threw a pick in the end zone. And, the Browns got the ball back with over 8 minutes left, down 6, able to get the lead in this game. And what did this Chiefs offense or defense do, led by Steve Spagnuolo and this, championship veteran defense? They, basically 3 and out. They only had one first down on the drive by a QB sneak by Baker Mayfield, and this defense stood up. And that's the thing for me I want to look at in this game is how can this Chiefs pass rush, get to Josh Allen, because we know what Frank Clark and we know what
Chris
Jones can do to that offensive line. Will they give Josh Allen enough time to find these receivers and all these different option routes, out routes through the middle, or are they going to get to Josh Allen, make him make plays, and we'll see what happens?
Yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, you have Patrick Mahomes. I believe he most likely will be playing in this game. He has gone through concussion protocol. He's been practicing on Wednesday and Thursday. We were filming this on a Thursday. and I believe he did have a full day of practice today. So most likely he will be playing in this game. And let's talk about that Bills defense a little bit. I know they struggled, and they gave up 161 to Clyde when they played early on the season. But when it really counted the most, against the Colts, against the Ravens last week, they really were able to, at least control them just a little bit to where, they couldn't, they didn't lose those games. So, if they can do that once again here, and Patrick Mahomes, he's not going to be 100% for this game. So maybe we see some, bad balls thrown here and there, and we can see that Bills defense capitalize. And I think we all know the X factor in this game is going to be Travis Kelce, right? Can those two safeties in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, slow down Travis Kelce enough to where, they can force some, 3-and-outs or get them to punt the ball when they're at midfield and get the ball back to Josh Allen so he can get this offense going. Now, both these offenses, they really have had their struggles running the ball all season long, and it's really been, a deep attack for both these teams, and Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs, who really can, stretch the field deep. And it's really going to come down to either one of these defenses who is going to be able to make the big play and, get a turnover or get that crucial 3-and-out to give their offensive ball back in this game.
Absolutely. And the thing is, with what I'm looking for is not only these quarterbacks, but how are these, offensive lines going to match up? I already talked about this Buffalo Bills offensive line, the challenge they have, but this Buffalo Bills team last week got some real pass rush against the Ravens. And if they can get pass rush on Patrick Mahomes, and the important thing is for the Buffalo Bills, you cannot let Patrick Mahomes get out of the pocket with throwing the ball, because he is more dangerous, in my opinion, outside of the pocket than he is inside the pocket, because not only does he have the threat to run the ball and pick up a first down with his legs, which we know he is very capable of doing, but that's when it becomes backyard football and he can sling the rock all across the field, even across his body, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So it's going to be a big thing. Interior pressure is going to be the key in this game. Can Ed Oliver and those other defensive tackles and interior defensive linemen really get to Patrick Mahomes and get him off his feet, off his track early, but not outside of the pocket? Just make him have that second thought to where his throws are not necessarily on point to those, amazing receivers and tight end, as you mentioned, to where he can't really beat you outside of the pocket or just methodically down the field. Make him struggle, make him think, make him go to that second, third read. We know Patrick Mahomes almost invincible, but get physical with him, get tough with him, and make this game, sloppy, quite honestly, because he is coming off a concussion, which he did not look really good coming off of. And if you can make him, force a few turnovers, give this Buffalo Bills offense more opportunities, then you're going to have a chance in this game to win at Kansas City. However, I just think it's so hard to come by turnovers with this, Andy Reid-led offense. And he definitely has some tricks up his sleeve for this game. Expect Tyreek Hill to be a huge mismatch in the running game. And the biggest thing that's the concern for me for the Buffalo Bills is this running game has been non-existent outside of their starting quarterback and Josh Allen. I need to see Devin Singletary, and Zach Moss will not be playing in this game as he's on injured reserve. But I need to see Devin Singletary stand up and lead this offense the way that, they need him to. Because if you can't run the ball in the playoffs in January at Kansas City, it's going to be a very hard game.
Yeah, and we saw what the Browns were doing last week on those drives where they really got stuff going. It was with the run game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So that's really what's going to take from this Bills. We know Josh Allen can run, but just like you're saying, Patrick Mahomes, he leads the league in first down runs on 3rd and long. So you have to be careful what he can do outside the pocket. And, sometimes you take away the Tyreek Hill, sometimes you can cover up the Travis Kelce. But we saw early on in the game with the Browns, it was really Demarcus Robinson who was able to get some of those, underneath routes and really open it up for everyone else in the field. So for this Bills defense, you have to cover all 11 people on the field at all times and really take away everything that Patrick Mahomes is going to try to expose on your defense. But, that all being said, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in this one. I think Patrick Mahomes, we really don't know how, what percentage he is at after taking that injury. Looking at it, it is classified as a concussion, but, what I saw really was, the player was grabbing onto his neck, and I really thought it might have to do something with his neck. But, concussion is what it is listed as. So give me the Bills in this one. I think it's going to be the fun one to watch, probably better than the other game. But give me the Buffalo Bills 33-30.
Now, I have all the respect in the world for Matt Milano, my defensive player of the year, absolute stud for this Bills team. But it's a team game. Football is, and Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White, Ed Oliver, they got some good names, but they simply can't all get it done. And this Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid led offense, too much experience. They've been in this situation before. And I just think, the veteran presence will get it done. And the Chiefs, by a score of 38 to Buffalo 35, are going to head to the Super Bowl to face the Green Bay Packers.
All right, so we both have disagreeing on both games. I have the Buccaneers and the Bills in the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Lewis has the Packers going up against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But we will find out.
Baby.
We will find out this weekend. But Lewis, any closing remarks?
I'm just super excited. All of last week's games, even the Saints game, all really good, entertaining games to watch as a football fan. So I'm expecting, more of the same in that situation this upcoming week. And I'm really excited to see what's going on for the Super Bowl. Next week, we are going to do our NFL awards prediction, all of the awards. We're going to talk about how the season has concluded. Maybe Laraib will change his pick for MVP. Who knows? But we'll get to that whenever we do. Like usual, links for our Twitter and our Instagram will be in the bio. I will be posting things, updating you on when we are posting and other information on both platforms. Besides that, thank you for tuning in, and let's have a great weekend of football.
All right. See y'all.
Peace.